Hello everyone. It is late September. Only a couple more days of September left, 2 or 3. It's overcast, kind of humid. I feel that fall is coming in the air. I thought I'd do a vinyl video today since I had a nice pickup from the thrift store. I show off what I got. I made some vinyl videos back in May, if you look at them, and stopped because I had to get some of these records libraried, put into my collection, and put on the Excel spreadsheet and all that. But I had a nice score the other day at a thrift store, and I thought I'd do a video to show them off. It's about 11 records. The thrift store I went to just put a bunch of records on the shelf, and I must have went over 200, and I whittled it down to 11, and these are all really good quality. For those of you who aren't familiar with thrift store vinyl collecting, you're not going to go there and find stuff like, you know, Asia, Steely Dan, or Peter Gabriel. So the more popular titles. Used to back in the earlier day of thrift store vinyl collecting, but what has happened with the revitalization of vinyl, those such titles, people are bringing them to independent record stores, or if somebody in the family dies who had those albums, the family would pick through them and keep the best titles for themselves. Maybe they're into vinyl, or bring them to an independent record store. And also, thrift stores are marking up these type of albums where they didn't used to. You know, you could, back 10 years ago, you could find them like $1.50. But they are taking the more popular titles like that, CCR, the Stones, and putting some really high prices on them, and sometimes putting them behind the glass. What's left now is genres of music that's very eclectic and very interesting, and that's why I like thrift store vinyl shopping. Even those are, in some areas, are getting a bit pricey. So I'm going to go over these 11 albums, what I have, and I put them in order of the ones I would have brought first, second, third, fourth, okay? The first artist I want to spotlight, I got 2 of her albums. She was a famous jazz singer who dabbled in R&B, popular music, and very successful, very successful. She's one of the renowned all-time jazz singers, and if you ever look at the list of female great jazz singers, you know, you see the Billie Holidays, Sarah Vaughan. Well, this lady is always on the top 5 of that list. Her name, Donna Washington. I'll show you the second album. This is the greatest hits of hers on the Roulette label. She recorded on a number of labels, and I do have some of her albums on the Mercury label, which was considered her golden period. But she also did some great music on a Roulette label and other labels. This is a reissue of an album she did in 1959, Donna Washington and the Fats Waller Songbook. Fats Waller was a famous pianist who was a pioneer in the field of piano jazz, and he died young, I think 40, of pneumonia, and but he left behind a really nice songbook and you know, playing techniques that developed, that was the development of piano jazz, as I read it. This album came out in 1959 under a different album cover. It was a cartoon caricature of her and Fats, okay? The artwork is so cool. They actually had the album at the thrift store, but the vinyl was not in good shape, but the cover was. I had to make a choice. You know, I could buy this album here, which is the same album, the same list of songs. It's on a renowned EM and then capital ARCY label, which is, I think, Verb related. It's digitally remastered on imported audio pine pressing in the one of those Scandinavian countries. Okay, the vinyl's as clean as a whistle. Looks like no one ever played it. Or I could get the original album. They were both $2.99. So do I want to pay $3 for the artwork? I went with this, the sound, the clean sound, the reissue, digitally remastered. It sounds absolutely wonderful. If I brought the other one, if I was in mono, it would still sound good. It would have been noisy because it had some issues. So I got this album. Fat Waller. If you listen to his song titles, it will kind of describe his music. Ain't nothing but okay. Ain't nobody business if I do. Someday rocking my dreamboat. Someone's rocking my dreamboat. Ain't ya glad? Ain't misbehaving. I've got a feeling I'm falling. Honeysuckle Rose, which was one of the most famous songs. So if you listen to the titles, they kind of suggest romantic mischief and fun. And Diane sings them in that kind of spirit. This other one is, she was on a number of labels. I think her last one was Roulette Records. And so this is a collection of her best recordings here, and it has some liner notes on the back. Cool. Okay. 1984 reissue. This was a early 80s reissue. Whoever had these records maybe just played them once and put them up and in a condition that they stayed almost like new. Very happy to get these for $2.99 each. Donna Washington is one of my favorite vocalists ever, period. Not in the field, not pop, or not jazz, but vocalist, period. She had this like penetrating voice that just kind of grabs you. It was very emotional. Her range was good. She could sing beautiful soft songs, and she can sing rebel-rousing songs and everything in between. We lost her in 1963, accidental drug overdose, or a mixing of alcohol and pills. But I think she was like 37 years old, still had plenty of talent in her. And she had a very, very interesting life. She was a perfectionist, very demanding of the people she worked with, and she only worked with the best musicians, the best arrangers, and she could be unforgiving for a mistake. There's a documentary, YouTube documentary on her that would be that is very interesting. I found it very interesting, and she was a party girl too, and she just did it all. So these are clean as a whistle, and I put them on my system. They sounded absolutely out of this world. The second singer, she's labeled as a country artist, but I think of her a lot more than that. And she tragically died in 1963, the same year Donna died. She was at reaching the height of her career. Her career just blossomed because of her move to the Decca label, and for her to be produced in what is called the Nashville sound, which was a move away from, you know, twangy guitars, steel guitars, fiddles, and you know, banjos, and a kind of a honky-tonk, you know, feel, to more luscious songs with strings and smooth tempos about heartache and love, and, you know, disappointment, and sometimes some wonderment. That singer, had she lived, would have continued success, because she is recognized as one of the best female vocalists of the 20th century. She sang from the heart, really. It was coming from here. She wasn't singing notes. I'm talking about the great late Patsy Cline. There we go. This was her. This album came out after her death. It was pretty much, you know, standard, what your parents may have, of all her big hits. Not so much from her early career. Walking After Midnight, Sweet Dreams, Crazy, I Fall to Pieces, Back in Baby's Arms, She Got You, Faded Love, to mention a few. So this is what most people had when they brought her album, is the greatest hits, and other albums too. Okay, happy to have this one. Moving on to another genre of music. And I've seen this album many times before. Not many times, the few times I've seen it, it's usually beat up, unplayable. But I got one that was, you know, passable, and it plays well. I mean, it has its surface noise, but that kind of ties into the grittiness of the music. And I'm talking about the Wicked Pickett. The Wicked Pickett. It has a sticker on there that says this album contains Mustang Sally, which one was one of his big hits. Here, very retro looking. This album came out in 1966. I like the shirt he has on, the purple, the smile. This is purely great rockin' R&B stuff, played by the great session players of that day. It's one of his most renowned albums, and it has 12 songs of him doing covers. Mustang Sally, New Orleans, Sunny. Oh, he does an excellent version of the 1966 Sunny. Everybody needs somebody to love. Whoop whoop, hoop hoop, do whatever. She ain't gonna do right. Knock on wood. Time is on my side. The Stones covered. It's tight, uptight, good woman. You left water running. 3-time loser. Nothing you can lose. And it has the cool liner notes on the back. Very period. This is in mono. And the cover is dirty, you know, it has its wear. So the vinyl is in very good playable condition. It has its issues, but the little surface noise you hear kind of goes with the music. So very happy to have it. Welcome to the collection, Mr. Pickett. This next artist kind of worked all sides of the fence in the area of classic Frank Sinatra type of vocals, to rock and roll, to folk. he was a chameleon, a musical chameleon, and he succeeded in all those areas. We lost him at an early age, I think in 1973 or 4. He had heart problems, born with a bad heart, and went in for heart surgery, and he just didn't make it. But I'm talking about Darren at the Copper, Bobby Darin, okay? I've always wanted this album, and I finally found one that was in great playable condition. And this is an early issue. I can tell of the vinyl, the label there at Atco is the old label. It's in mono, and it's in really good playable condition. Really cool cover. What's so cool about the cover? Not only does Bobby strike a cool pose, but you can see the members of the audience, and it has that that swinging loungy jazzy sound to it, and the people in the audience are your middle-aged square hipsters, I would call them. So this is really cool, and it has liner notes and information on the back, and that pose, man, that's great. Moving on, I mean, we talked about Patsy Cline, and she was considered country, but she's more than that. This next artist is definitely country. Here we go. Ernest Tubb, the Ernest Tubb story. This is so cool. It's a gatefold with a little booklet insert there with information on his career, pictures about the recordings, and some more pictures in the back. What this is and this is Hi-Fi Decca Records. The Ernest Tubb story, Decca Records did a number of these type of albums for their artists. The Billie Holiday story. What was the other one? I've got a number. The Loretta Lynn story. So these artists are on the Decca label, and Decca, the Kitty Wells story. So I got all 4, and so they put together on 2 record set their best recordings and some deeper album stuff, and contained booklet with bio, along with pictures, and pictures with other stars, the Ernest Tubb story, and this is on heavy duty paper stock, laminated, and that kind of preserves them. The condition of this album is very good, and I played one side of each of these albums, so I've been enjoying them. My father loved Ernest Tubb, and I wish he was here. I would play this for him, and I just like the artwork there. Yeah, that's country, old school country. The next 3 albums, we won't spend too much time on them, except to say that this next artist, it's sadly because he's known for one thing that comes up a lot with the general public, and that's hee-haw. Buck Owens is a major country and western artist. I mean, his sound was the Bakersfield sound. We talked about Patsy Cline, the Nashville sound. The Bakersfield sound was the twangy guitars, and hey, we got, and the twangy, cry your beer songs, and I mean, it was music you go up to an old, honky tonk you expect to hear. So this is, I love this cover. I've been looking for this one for some time. Buck Owen and the Buckaroos live at Carnegie Hall. Okay, and a great live country album. Probably one of the best. Buck Owens again, it's studio work. I got a tiger by the tail. That's good. And another one of Buck's is called Your Tender Loving Care. Not as quite familiar with this one. It does have Sam's Place, which I love. It's on there. I listened to this album by there's some up-tempo songs. It's a lot of, you know, heartache, you know, my woman left me, things gone wrong, now I'm in this bar crying in my tear, you know, type of stuff. Steel guitars. So that's good. Okay, two more. I saw this, I said, oh, this is cool. Okay, I'm sure a lot of people who are my age know who Bill Haley was. He was, I believe, the first artist, or rock artist, to have a #1 single on the charts, Rock Around the Clock. And it has become sort of a rock and roll anthem, okay? And other hits too, like See You Around, Alligator, Shake, Rattle and Roll, Crazy Man, Crazy Man. Anyway, so I look at this, oh, okay, this is cool, you know, it got Rock Around the Clock, Blue Suede Shoes, Whole Lot of Shaking Going On, Kansas City, No Later Time, Shake, Rattle, you know, Crazy Mom, you know, those type of songs, Stagger Lee, Blueberry Hill. And when I played it, it sounded great, but it sounded different. And I looked at the label, the green Warner Brothers label, okay? And I said, wait a minute, Bill Haley, I think, was on Decca. And I looked at the release date, 1970. So what I think he did was re-record Rock Around the Clock, along with all these other songs, with his band. And they seemed a little bit more laid back, you know, Rock Around the Clock and all that, but still fun. Still had that, you know, that beat, that drive. And I said, okay, this is cool, this is interesting. So, although it's not the original recording, this is still nice to have. The last one, and this is, we're going to rock and roll here, and I do have a number of albums from this band. I'll show you. 10 years after. Cricklewood Green. And the cover is in bad condition and all that. The vinyl is in decent condition. It's playable. It does have its marks, but for $1.49, I get it. I do have a number of their albums, so, and that one's their most renowned album. You know, the go-to 10 years after. There are other ones, but that's really the go-to one. So there you have it. My recent vinyl finds from the other day. It's always wonderful when you're scoring and seeing good vinyl at thrift stores, because a lot of times you go there and it's crap, you know, church music, instrumental music. Not to put Jim Nabors down, because I thought he was a great voice, just not my music, but always plenty of Jim Nabor records and such, and Andy Williams. I like Andy Williams, but I already have his essential albums, and you know, kids albums, and albums that are there that are in horrible playing condition, and a lot of generic stuff. But when you run into a stack like that, that's very exciting. So that's my vinyl video for today. Please leave a message if you watch it, a nice comment. I'll be interested in hearing from you. You take care. Bye-bye.